Hello, everybody. Today we're in Jeremiah chapter 7, and we're going to be looking at a passage that Jesus picks up and uses when he goes into the temple. Remember, when he clears the temple, he talks about it being a den of thieves. He's actually quoting Jeremiah when he says that, and in Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 11, it says this: "Don't you yourselves admit that this temple, which bears my name, has become a den of thieves? Surely I see all the evil going on there. I, the Lord, have spoken." So God is very mad at what they're doing, and so it might be good for us to know what was it they were doing that made God so mad. Well, a little later on in this same chapter, it talks about how they build sacrificial fires to other gods and offer cakes. They offer to the Queen of Heaven, which was another god. And he says, most of all, they hurt themselves to their own shame. So they were worshiping other gods besides just the God of Jehovah, the God of the temple. Now, the question is, and it'd be a good question for us to ask, is do we do that too? Do we worship other gods like they did? And the answer to that, of course, is yes. And the way you might want to know that is to ask yourself a couple questions. What's the most important thing in your life? Most important thing or person or whatever. What's most important to you? And what do you look for? What do you look for value and importance and all of those things? What's most important? And if it isn't God that's most important in your life, well, then you probably have a God that's above God. Children can be a God. A job can be a God. Money can be a God. I think about, as a pastor, seems like people probably shouldn't do this, but they do anyway without thinking. They'll say something like this. They'll say, well, Pastor, I won't be in church Sunday because we have a basketball game, or my son has a football game, or baseball, or whatever. So what are you really saying? Or we won't be in church because we have guests over. Or we won't be in church because of a myriad of other reasons. All of which are saying that thing is more important to you than worshiping God. That coming to worship on Sunday mornings is not the most important thing in your life. There's something else that's more important. And I, for one, don't want to go up to God when I die and tell him what was more important than worshiping him on a Sunday or a Saturday night. And by the way, there's lots of churches that have Saturday night services. So, the excuse kind of goes away if you think, well, go to church on Saturday. So we need to be more intentional about what we're doing, because, God rips into the people of Jeremiah's time for worshiping other gods, and I know that we have them in our lives too. And it's important that we put God number one in our lives. And he gives the answer as to why that is. He says, most of all, they hurt themselves. By not having your priorities correctly, by not having God number one in your life, the one you're hurting the most is you. And if your life is, going like 100 miles an hour and you have no time to do anything, and you're always rushing, well, who is that hurting? You and maybe your family. But, God wants us to rest in him. I think about, if you don't go to church on Sunday morning, you're letting the world speak to you for 2 weeks or 14 days. And I can tell you that the message the world is giving is not the one that God wants you to hear. So this has squarely to do with the first commandment: I am the Lord your God, you shall have no other gods. And we need to think about what gods we have in our lives, and we all have them, including myself. So I'm going to be thinking about this text too today. God bless and have a great day.